Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We live in a very divisive time, not just in the world generally, but also in our fandom. And I just want to say, I always want to be a voice for positivity, always sharing my passion and love for Star Wars with you. In the last few days, there have been some very less than flattering remarks about my voice, my content, but I'm just here to say, I'm always going to try and make for you guys the best Star Wars content I can, giving you the latest news, theories, rumors. Let me tell you, haters have always tried to put me down, and they can continue making all the noise they want. It's always about them, and never the person they're trying to put down. But I'm here for those who want to talk Star Wars, who love Star Wars. No matter who you are, you're welcome here. I'm here for you guys, so thank you to everyone who supports what I do. But let's get on to the video. Disney Plus lost 700,000 subscribers so far in Q1 of this year. That is admittedly very steep, but very few fans are surprised. This is consistent with a subscriber decline that's been happening over the last few years. It's attributed to many factors: price increases and lack of quality content. You know, Star Wars is in a very strange transitionary period, but despite the setbacks, in an official statement, Disney says they're not too concerned, because they have seen considerable success on the movie front, and I think this has convinced them more than ever before. Star Wars belongs on the big screen. Bob Iger spoke to Variety.com and said this: "We remain confident in our strategy for continued growth. We expected the churn would be significantly greater, but, as you know, we took prices up. But we're delivering numbers that were better than we expected." Some would say this is cope to an extent, but Disney is adamant they have reason to celebrate. I think they already know they're anticipating a box office failure for something like Snow White, but in terms of some of their other releases in the last couple of years, they have seen a few victories. Some of the films that did good numbers include Moana 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2 and a few others. So like we've been saying for a long time, the streaming side of Star Wars, I wouldn't say it's coming to an end, but it's definitely about to slow down. And here's what Star Wars fans had to say about it. "I'm not surprised. It's one of the worst platforms for original content. I don't know what they were expecting. They doubled the price, while the content remains incredibly inconsistent across all of their IPs. Others rightly compared it to Netflix and said, all of the streaming services raised their prices, but Disney didn't have enough new content, good content, to justify it." I think Star Wars fans, in particular following The Acolyte, are feeling a little bit bummed out. There might be a bit of a spike in the month of April for Andor's final season, but after that, Star Wars fans don't have any live-action Disney Plus content until Ahsoka Season 2 in 2026. And that's after the Mandalorian movie. But in terms of the trajectory for 2025, we can expect more cancelled subscriptions. And just reading through these comments, it seems very apparent, with price hikes across the board, people just want good value for money, and Netflix has more to offer. This is from our own community, and this person says, "We have 2 young daughters obsessed with princesses, so probably the target demographic for a Disney Plus subscription, and even we are thinking of ditching it. I only keep it as a freebie I got from my cell phone provider. Their new content is weak and driving subs away. You can only watch the old classics so many times." And this is a recurring sentiment I've seen bubble up since I would say 2021, and plays into the resurgence of physical media. Fans opting for physical DVD, Blu-ray content. You know, if you're someone who doesn't like the new TV shows, or it's a period of a few months, like right now between 2 shows, and all you want to watch is the original trilogy, or the prequels, even the sequel trilogy, it's cheaper to buy physical copies of those movies than it would be to keep your monthly Disney Plus subscription. That is just the reality of the situation, guys. And increasingly more and more fans are leaning this way. This person says, "Everything is so expensive, something had to go." And this is such a good representation of your average Star Wars fan. It's not always as dramatic as people make it seem. Everything's so dramatic these days, but more often than not, people are just like, you know what? I'm not enjoying these shows. I'm not benefiting from the Pixar side, some of the other content, if you're just a Star Wars or Marvel fan. Inflation is insane, the cost of living is insane, everything is so expensive, so something had to go. And it's as simple as that. Who is to blame, this person says? Marvel or Lucasfilm? My money's on Lucasfilm. Still no firings for failed projects, no accountability. 700,000 is catastrophic. Then there are the optimists. I keep Disney to watch Star Wars. I'm not overly happy about the direction lately, but there's still an amazing catalogue. I remain hopeful, despite all odds. Never tell me the odds. I believe one of the reports said some of this data is an overhang from last year, the last couple of months of 2024, but this is substantial loss. We'll see what happens as the year progresses, and all season 2 might bring in something of a spike, but I think Disney's optimistic because they just needed another reason to stop prioritizing Star Wars on the small screen. It's time to bring it back to the cinema. How's it going to perform? We have speculated about how casual fans are going to react to a movie like The Mandalorian and Grogu. Is it still relevant in the pop culture space as it was just a couple of years ago? A lot of questions, and the box office for that movie is going to be the biggest indicator for how Lucasfilm proceeds after it. Whether or not The Mandalorian returns to Disney Plus for season 4, or if it's a huge success, Jon Favreau gets another movie before the one by Dave Filoni. What do you guys think of this? Let me know down below. And so moving on, my dear friends. So about a week ago, we were talking about this upcoming Kylo Ren comic, The Legacy of Darth Vader. Kylo Ren, in between episodes 8 and 9, inexplicitly is looking for more survivors of Order 66 from decades and decades ago, and we speculated which character is he gonna hunt down, which Order 66 survivor is still alive during the sequel trilogy. At the time I said, maybe Kylo Ren finds out Ahsoka is still alive. But yesterday, issue number 1 was released. The comic starts off pretty slow. Kylo Ren goes to Mustafar. He's obsessed with his grandfather, not caring that Anakin was redeemed, and he discovers the head of Varney, who we saw in Rogue One, has been preserved, and he is the one who's guiding Kylo on his quest. Unsurprisingly, the first issue is just a setup, so we don't learn who the Jedi survivor is. But what we do learn is this: in the next issue, Kylo Ren is going to go to Tatooine, and one of the characters he's going to come up against is the former owner of Anakin and Shmi, not Watto, Garjula the Hutt. Prior to the Clone Wars, she owned them, but lost them to Watto in a bet. This character has existed since the Phantom Menace, and she's been alive throughout the entire saga. Can you believe it? Kylo Ren is going to come up against Garjula the Hutt. And this gives us small insight into the underworld situation on Tatooine at the time. So I guess we assume Boba Fett might be dead at this point. And just as we know we're going to see Darth Vader flashbacks, considering Kylo wants to learn all about his grandfather, imagine if we get some Shmi Skywalker backstory. Garjula is the one person who would know. Fans have wondered for years, was Shmi's last name Skywalker because she has an affiliation with the Chiss? Was she a navigator for the Chiss Ascendancy? And next time I hope we find out who the Order 66 survivor Kylo Ren hunts down was. I was thinking, given the ties to the Phantom Menace, maybe Quinlan Vos. He was once on Tatooine, and we know he survived Order 66, but if he was alive during the sequels, he would be ancient, 101 years old, so I'm thinking no. And finally, my dear friends, a new Bad Batch book has been announced, The Bad Batch Sanctuary. This is set before the final season. The reason they're not doing it afterwards is because they're saving that for the next animated show. Announcements to come at Star Wars Celebration.